Hey everyone, Coach Powers, and I want to bring you what I hope will be the last Lake of Fire update. Now, for some of you who don't already know, Lake of Fire is a feature film that I wrote, directed, produced, and basically did everything on this film. This has been my my baby for the last few years. It's probably about 5 or 6 years in the making. I've been wanting to do it for years. Finally got the right team, right equipment, was able to raise a little bit of money and fund the rest myself to make this film that I just felt was utterly important. And so if you're new, yes, there's a Benzo film coming, and I think it's going to be. I think you guys are going to love it. I mean, we've worked so hard, and it came out so good. I really, really hope you guys love it. I really think you will. I think we hit the bullseye on this one. Now, if you've been following this, you're probably going, Coach, where's the film? We've been waiting. Come on. I thought this wasn't going to take this long, you know. And I do feel bad about that, guys. But so let me give you a quick update and hopefully provide some context for this. So, first off, I was telling you guys, I think I could film this, edit it, have it out in maybe a year or more. It's been 3 years. Um, that was when we were trying to shoot a 10-15 minute video. We were going to do a short film, 10-15 minutes. And it became quickly obvious that how do you tell this story in 10 or 15 minutes? I mean, how do you bring this information to an audience? Now, in 10 or 15 minutes, I could give you a a kind of version of what a version of what we all go through that we could relate to. But you can't get our friends, our family, people outside the Benzo community, you can't make them aware in 15 minutes. At least I couldn't. I couldn't write that script tight enough and efficient enough to really tell that story. But we were going to try. And so what ended up happening was the first day on set, we got together, we shot our first scene, with this amazing actress and amazing actors and just amazing team. And, it was obvious after that first day, we started talking, and the team was sort of like, well, why don't we go bigger? Why don't we just make it a 45-minute film? Do you have a script for that? I said, I got a feature film script, 90 pages, 100 pages. He said, yeah, okay, we'll do a 45-minute version. Okay, so that's 3 times the size of what we had planned, right? And that matters. You're talking more scenes, more time, more money, more editing, more everything. And but we were going to go with it. I said, great. So by the second day, it became, why stop at 45? Because, a 45-minute film is right on the cusp between being still a short film, because, it's technically a short film, versus a feature film. So I said, And we kind of, it kept evolving the conversation. I said, look, if we're going to do a feature film, you're talking about an hour and a half picture. I need to know everybody is really invested and really, nobody's going to bail on this. I mean, that's a long commitment. It's a really massive undertaking. I mean, anybody can shoot, a 5 or 10 minute short film. Doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it's very doable. Shooting a feature, it's not like that. I mean, a short film is essentially a scene, right? A feature is 24, 26, 30 scenes, and they have to fit together, and they have to flow, and they have to, the whole process is such a giant jump. But anyway, we decided, yeah, this is an important project, and we want to go big with it. We just want to make a full feature film. Okay, great. Spent a year, a little over a year filming it, just shooting, the bulk of it. Then you have pickup scenes, you've got to keep editing, and the film starts to kind of unfold, if you will. It starts to reveal itself to you. And then you start to realize, oh, we need an extra scene here, or we need this or that. And so, even after you're done, you still have several months usually of editing, or maybe a year of editing, several months worth of pickup shots and audio engineering and scoring and color grading and all of these things. Right. So it was going to be a longer project just by sheer default of us changing changing from making it a short to a feature. Like, it was already going to get much bigger and take longer time. But then what happened was you have to remember, now we're out of the pandemic for the most part. I think we're out of the pandemic officially. Um, but we were shooting this still at like the height of it, right? So COVID was running rampant. You couldn't shoot in certain locations, and there was all these rules, and so the first month of production, our lead actress gets pregnant. You know, she's she's pregnant. We go, oh God, now the pressure's on. I mean, how long is this going to take? And is she going to start showing? I mean, how do we can't write that into the film that our lead actress, our protagonist, is pregnant. So that took some little creative shots and stuff toward the end to not reveal that. Um, but anyway, as anyone's watching this that's been pregnant, there's morning sickness and there's a lot of things that come with that. So there were some days missed, and we weren't able to shoot this like every day. We were basically shooting it on the weekends because we're indie filmmakers. We're people that have other jobs and things like that. So we're kind of weekend warriors on this thing. And you didn't know if you were going to shoot every weekend, because it was like, oh, we get on set and then the lead actress gets morning sickness on the ride. She's throwing up. She has to turn around. We have to cancel everything, understandably. Um, week for week was like this. So it was very tricky. We never knew what we were going to get done and what we could accomplish. And then it was like, oh, and then so and so got COVID. Okay, shut down the set for weeks, a month. Okay, get back on the set. Oh, so another person got COVID. Okay, shut down the set again. I got COVID at one point and I developed long COVID. So I was shut down for like 2 months. And by the time I came back, I couldn't breathe. And I was, walking up, hills and stuff, holding equipment. And I could walk like 20 feet and stop and had to, breathe. I was so fatigued. And it was a dreary thing. So, needless to say, we had a lot of curveballs, guys. A lot of things it wasn't the best filming environment and circumstances, to put it that way. So things got stretched out much longer, and so here we are approaching, I think, 3 years now at this point of this crazy long journey, and we've got the film about 98% finished. All the shots filmed and put together, and we're really close to being able to finally bring this to you guys, and I can't wait. So if you've been waiting and wondering what's been going on, no, coach didn't drop the ball. He didn't forget about it. This wasn't a scam or a false promise. I mean, I just want you to know it was a very big undertaking. And there was, like I said, a lot of curveballs thrown our way. And we were a very small team with like a micro budget. I think we raised like $6,000, and I probably put in 2 or 3 times that amount of money out of my own pocket, losing work all along the way, constantly losing work because we weren't just shooting on the weekends. Then you would run during the week to shoot this shot, and it was always at the whim of a team's schedule. So you always had to reach out to like multiple people and figure out, okay, well, Tuesday work, after 2 p.m. Okay, great. We'll drive 3 hours on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. And, it just, believe me when I say it was a hell of a tightrope that we walked, and it was a real challenge trying to get everybody on board. So, but yeah, that's the update, and I will say I'm super proud of this film. I think it's the best thing that I've ever created. I think it will be very well received. I think we were walking um, a tight line there between um, making a film that was not too dark but dark enough, right? Like, I mean, some people will watch it and say, "Oh, you could have made it so much scarier and so much more." You didn't show how bad benzos could get. And it's like, I think I did. I think I showed enough. But if you go any further, I mean, what are we going to end up with? A horror film, a Stephen King, a Stephen King picture. So I didn't want to do that. And also, I believe if you're going to lead people into darkness, you got to lead them out at the same time. So we didn't want to just be this dreary, dark, triggering film, you know. And really, this film wasn't just for people that were going through benzos. It's for the family, right? I wanted this film to not just validate our experiences, but I wanted this film to be something that you could show your friends and family, and they would walk away with a different sense of this, right? Because that's the power of a film, right? I've never been in Vietnam, but I can watch a Vietnam film and get a sense of it. Like, wow, that's what they went through. That's wow, and that's what I want to give your friends and family and maybe doctors or other people that can watch this is a real experience of like, here's a real person you can relate to, you know, and look at this. And I think the film is also going to be interesting because, to anyone watching it who didn't go through benzo withdrawal, it's really such a good depiction of the reality of this because the first part of the film, if you're not familiar with benzo withdrawal, you're looking at the protagonist, the lead actress in the film, as being kind of like, super needy. And I think all the complaints that a family member or a friend from the outside sometimes have with us because, they're difficult, or why don't they walk it off, or maybe they should just take the meds, or you're doing this to yourself, all that gaslighting stuff that comes from maybe a good place, but they're completely misinformed. And then the film starts to turn and open up. And I think if that was the way you went into the film, going, yep, see, by halfway through it, your whole opinion begins to change. And I think that's great because it disarms the audience. It brings them into our world and makes them kind of live it in a way, right, vicariously. So anyway, soon I'll have some new, some big news coming out, and I'm going to release the film here on YouTube so everyone can watch it. But I'm also going to release it early a little bit on the Benzo Recovery School for my students in there as a kind of a special privilege, I guess, for being part of my team. And we'll do some other stuff. We're going to do a VIP watch, like a private screening in Orlando at a place called the Enzion Theater, and maybe in the coming months. So I'll post news about that. And anybody who wants to come to this, especially those who are in Florida, it might be hard if you're not in Florida, but anybody who wants to come check that out, I'm going to try to make it accessible. I would love to pack the theater with, Benzo supporters and Benzo people. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. So there'll be some new stuff coming out, maybe some interviews with the cast and some BTS, behind the scenes stuff. And if you've donated money to the film, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to be sending out some gifts and some, manuscripts that are signed and maybe even some extra stuff. So I really want to make it special. So there you are, guys. Thank you so much for being patient for me. We're finally at the end of this project. It's been a long time coming. It's been a complete and utter emotional roller coaster for me. And I know my team trying to produce this film. And I appreciate your support. I very much appreciate your patience. We're almost there. And I think the wait will have been worth it. And the next thing we're going to be doing is a Benzo documentary. I'll tell you more about that later. All right, guys. Till next time, remember you're healing and you will heal.